over on Timinator900, 8 hours ago. Alright, I don't know how many times I got to say this, but the way I see it, this community has been getting worse month after month. With users getting called out over something they aren't. Now that I think about it, I believe this community has been far worse this year than it had last year, and it's all because of the constant toxicity this community has gotten itself into. I remember a few weeks ago, I had my Discord status set to "This community can go to hell for all I care." The reason why I said that was because of the immature behavior most users had in this community. It's one thing if you're 10 years old, but when users over 18 act this childish towards me, towards basically anyone who gets called out, even when they aren't criminals to begin with, is unacceptable and despicable. What makes matters worse was the ones who did it. Most of them are the same ones who had this #conclusion on their Discord DM status. Capital I. Won't say the names to the users who had that message, because they know who they are. Another thing that boggles me is cancel culture. Most of you all have mentioned that cancel culture is bad for the community, that we shouldn't bring up users' past unless if the crime is serious. Look, I despise many criminals in the GoAnimate community because I feel as though these criminals will and cannot redeem themselves. I saw at the Laughing Bob 100's post on why users shouldn't take Taylor Jolisser seriously, and in my mind, I was in shock, because even though what Taylor did was in the past, what she did was totally unforgivable and therefore should not be trusted, period. You know, there is such thing as a hate crime, so letting her situation go is like saying we should let every other low-tier criminal go. This brings me to the topic of overusing the criminal term. Many users, including myself, have been called a criminal for things that aren't necessarily criminal. What makes matters worse is these users would spam, not hearing what those who had gotten called out a chance to speak their thoughts about what happened. This happened to me when I made a stream a few weeks ago, which is now unlisted, called It's Time. I was trying to admit my wrongdoings to you all by stopping to forgive and like Timinator900 for good. But most of you did not give me a chance to apologize. Instead, you all decided to spam my stream chat both on YouTube and StreamYard until I ended it. Take that for an example. Another reason I wanted to point out is mentioning it Walid Tariq 2001. Now keep in mind, just because I mention his name and situation does not make me a defender of a criminal, a supporter of one, or even a forgiver of one. Besides, I had already made it clear in several streams that I became neutral to Walid until further notice, since in my opinion, he is not a criminal. I can call him many things: stalker, beggar, annoying user to deal with. But I wouldn't go as far as to call him a criminal, since what he did wasn't necessarily criminal. But again, please keep in mind that I'm still neutral and I'm not defending Walid in any way. What he did was bad, it was pathetic for his age, and I get furious at him when he pretends to take people's advice, like mine, and continues to act the same way. Do I believe he deserves another chance? I can't answer that. Although most users have already given him another chance. I can say that he needs to take a long break and think about what he's done. Then he can come back fresh in the community. Also, please don't get neutral and liking a user mixed up. Neutral simply means that you're in between. You don't like nor dislike a user. In other words, you have no thoughts or opinions among that certain user if you are neutral. Another user I want to bring up is that Omid left Brace off the internet until further notice. Right, Brace. His actions were really bad. I myself even made a community post about him because when I saw that he wanted to kill himself just so he could earn more support in the community, I was in shock. It was so childish and pathetic. I did a poll on whether or not Omid should come back in January. Most of you said no, and explained your reasons in the comments section based on your choice. But let me ask you something. Even though what he did was bad, was what he did considered criminal? Because all I heard was that he faked his own death and got his ex-girlfriend worried about him. I haven't heard about any criminal thing Omid has done. But anyway, he told me that he was seeking professional help. We'll have to see how it goes. I still believe regardless that he needs to take a long break and think about what he's done. I know a couple users who do the exact same thing knowing they have the support from most Go animators. One of them even has a girlfriend and yet complains just like the other user about support and how depressed they feel when people don't like him. It ends up so bad as for them to commit suicide over it. I don't want to say their names because that will spark controversy against them. But to those couple users, you know who you are, and you have to feel shame about yourselves for making me and everyone think that you both felt suicidal just so every Go animator can feel the need to worry about you both. It's shameful. I've seen it happen to a bunch of users, to those who even wanted to commit suicide because they believe the support they have is small. I have small support and I try my hardest not to complain about how little support I have. Also, making more YT videos helps in a way to get more support. I still do believe toxic fandoms exist in this community. The fact how some users who are desperate for support knowing just how many users support them already, is very shameful of them. So please, if you are one of the users who has a lot of support on their end, try to be respectful, give others a chance to get noticed in the community, and try not to make some pathetic excuse like death jokes to get noticed more in the community. Because that's going to make you an attention seeker, a beggar, and an immature user, and no one, not even me, would ever want to support an attention seeker who complains about getting support. Especially if they got a toxic fanbase. Also, if you expose a criminal, then your main objective is to get them off the internet. So I'm not understanding what the point of trolling is. The way I see it, trolling just makes you immature, because not only are you telling the user to get off the internet, but at the same time, you may be acting toxic yourself by calling that criminal names and making random videos like a Grounded series out of them, or even a Wombay video, which in my honest opinion don't care about nowadays. I can understand if these trollers were under 18, but to the adults doing this type of stuff, don't you think it's a bit childish to troll a criminal? Exposing is one thing with which I totally agree, but trolling especially as an adult can make you very immature. Wombay is used for entertainment. I used to find them funny, but not so much anymore. Knowing that it's all about criminals' PFPs moving all around as a song plays in the background. The last thing I wanted to discuss is the UTTP accounts that Go animators are creating, because you all claim that as long as you have a UTTP account, anything you say or do on there isn't toxic, which honestly doesn't make any sense. If a user were to post a naked body video on their UTTP account, users would think it's fine. But if having them post on their original YT channel, it's considered criminal or offensive. Tell me, how does that make sense at all? I don't care if it's a trolling channel. Regardless, posting NSFW on YouTube can get your channel terminated as it violates YouTube's guidelines, and you all need to be careful about what you say or do the next time you post a video on your UTTP channel. 65 likes. Actions available. Voiceover off.